Welcome to the Make It Happen with Will Polston podcast.
You made a really valid point about the difference between choosing to respond rather than react. So for me, like a reaction is just an impulse that you do unconsciously, whereas a response is something that you choose to do. And you can choose to respond differently. Whereas so many of us, we're caught in this program, aren't we, where we just react over and over and over again. It's programmed into us, but that won't happen until you become aware, where you stop and actually think about your feelings.
Oh yeah, Brian, and you know Brian, I know you do. So Brian has a lovely part of his 7 ascendance ladder, right? Which it translates, but the word I love is response able.
Yeah.
Become response able. So you take responsible and you break it up into the syllables or the words that it's actually probably written in, and you become able to respond.
Yeah.
As opposed to reaction. The only time we should react is when our life is at risk, right? So often when we react to anger, or if we're threatened, maybe the reaction's a good idea. When we run over by a bus, God forbid, maybe the reaction is a good idea. If we're going to get in by a saber-toothed tiger, the reaction is a good idea. If we're going to have a fight and we don't want to, we run away, that's the reaction, a good idea. But when we react on a daily basis to, little upsets or things that, have or used to wind us up, people, places, things, triggers, when we react to those triggers, that's we're creating that toxic, because we're releasing cortisol with no need to do that. So I think just be mindful and try and realize. Look, I'll give you 2. What I do most mornings, I'm not saying do every morning because I'm human and I'm fallible, but what I do most mornings, I do a check-in, and I do a quick check-in with myself before I get into any type of routine, or and the check-in, excuse me mate, the check-in is I ask myself, and this was a tool I learned in Smart Recovery, right? The 5 questions. How am I feeling? How am I thinking? How am I feeling physically? How am I feeling mentally? How am I spiritually? And how am I emotionally? 6 questions, sorry. So just ask yourself, sit down for 5 minutes. You don't have to write it. Just say, how am I feeling? Have you noticed, right? People say thoughts create the feelings, right? Thoughts create behaviors, and then feelings create the emotion. Emotion creates the action, blah, 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 whatever. It's different. It's not necessarily written. It's not one size fits all, right? Have you noticed in the morning, you don't wake up and go, oh, I'm thinking badly, do you?
No.
You wake up and you go, I'm feeling like shit.
Yeah.
You feel like shit. You tell yourself, you're going to feel like shit, right? I am commanded straight away, first thing in the morning, yeah? So what happens is, so it's not necessarily I'm thinking badly straight away. You've told yourself you're feeling bad, and then you'll start thinking about how you're feeling bad. So you've started a cognition another way. It's still thoughts, feelings, and behaviors, right? And managing them. But if you start the morning by going, oh, I'm feeling terrible, you're going to be feeling terrible. And then your day's going to be terrible because you're not feeling great. So if you start the morning going, right, how am I thinking? How am I feeling? Don't say I am, say how. Open-ended question. You can do that in motivational interview. You do it in coaching. You say, how are you feeling? How can we change this? How are you able to make this different? How am I feeling? I'm feeling, okay. So I've asked myself, well, I am feeling a little bit, whatever it is, but you've opened the dialogue. You haven't just said, I am. You started with
the question. So you're bringing awareness to what you're thinking about.
Absolutely.
If you do you just do this in your head, or do you journal this?
I do a gratitude app. I've just started journaling again. I'm doing another course this week, which I need to journal for. I mean, look, I'm writing things down on my goal mapping and stuff, and I do occasionally write stuff down, but a lot of this I learn in here, mate.
You've done it a long time. The only reason I ask it is because obviously if people, like I noticed, because I journal in the morning most mornings, and I noticed that I wasn't feeling great most mornings. So I was writing out like what was going on. And one of the things that I noticed was that when I had lots of sugar the night before, I was waking up with a hangover, like a full blown hangover. So then because I was all right, so what did I do the night before? Because I was like, well, did I go to bed early? Did I go to bed late? Did I not drink enough water? What was it? And it was all the days that I noticed that I wasn't feeling like on fire in the morning, like on top of the world, were the days that I had loads of sugar the night before. And that awareness, doing that process, similar to what you just said there, help me understand what was going on. You can find the full episodes of the Make It Happen with Will Polston podcast here on YouTube, on iTunes, Spotify, and all other major podcast platforms.